signed in. If you can sign in over on the bookshelf, that'd be great. Your name and your organization would be a great thing to have on there. So I'm going to go through a quick PowerPoint that's going to help guide our work today. So we start everything with our school vision, so I'll just read it for you. We are Lunsford Strong. We are kind. We are leaders. We are dedicated. We persevere. We will change the world. And here's our agenda for the evening. So we're going to do quick introductions. Again, you're just going to give your name and then share the organization that you are representing. We're going to review the recommendations from the public hearing. That's what I sent in the email, and I also have hard copies for you as well. We're going to, as a part of the reviewing of the recommendations, we're going to share the document and talk about how it's organized. And we're going to work in work groups for about 30 minutes. And when we're working in the work groups, we're going to be deciding whether or not we want to take the recommendation and incorporate it into our SIG, or if we're not going to incorporate that suggestion at this time. So that's our main focus for this evening. And then we're going to share out. So the way in which we're going to work in 3 different tables. You will have the opportunity to decide which area you would like to work with or work on. So you can choose from the community, the family and community engagement piece, or the restorative practices, or the instructional model. Those will be our 3 key areas. And if you look at the document is organized that way, and kudos to Margaret for getting all of those recommendations onto this document for us. So thank you, thank you. And if you follow through, you can see a break where it bolds, and it'll tell you where the next section begins. And then the last thing we're going to do, well, second to last, is that we're going to talk about future meetings and the structure of the meetings, because not all the time would it be necessary for all of us to meet. So maybe we'll meet as 3 individual committees, but we'll talk about that before we go. And then a quick closing. Questions about the agenda? All right, so if we can just do quick introductions, that would be fantastic. John, would you like to start at this table?
Sure. My name's John Boutte. I'm with the Southwest Common Council. We've been running around to all the meetings in the 4 schools that are in receivership, so
Well, thanks for
it's been a busy month.
It will continue to be busy months. Thanks for joining.
I'm Elizabeth Cross, one of the assistant principals here at 19.
Rebecca Cranmer, one of the kindergarten teachers.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Alicia Bell, parent liaison here at school number 19.
Thank you. Hi.
Crystal Simmons, School of Education, SUNY Geneseo.
Jane Fowler Morris, School of Education, SUNY Geneseo.
Tara Pepe, School of Education, SUNY Geneseo. Margaret Donlin, I work with the middle school here at School 19.
I'm Carla Fury, and I work with K-6 at School 19.
Emily Smith, Greater Rochester Health Foundation Healthy Futures Liaison.
Cam Lewis, Associate Director of Playworks.
Jamie George, the Behavioral Health Clinic Operations Manager for the middle school.
My name is Matt Liston, and I'm a youth educator. I work at School 19 for the Gandhi Institute.
Hi, I'm Connor Cusack. I work for the YMCA, Schools 19 and 57 Lake Warrior.
John.
Hi, John DeFazio, Assistant Principal, School 19.
Oh, Jabari Korean, Recess Coach for School 19, play work.
All right, and I'm Moniek Silas-Lee, proud principal. So we're just going to review our plan quickly, and I'll also have little silent teachers on your tables to help remind you of what each category is responsible for. So again, we have 3 major buckets in our SIG. We have the instructional model, restorative practices, and community engagement, and that's how all of our feedback was organized. And the collaborative co-teaching model, it emphasizes the small group differentiated instruction delivered by a team of grade level teachers. So key components is that it's differentiated and in small groups. So when you're going through and you're thinking if something is going to be beneficial to this model, please keep this blurb in mind. And then the social emotional development, restorative practices. It refers to being both proactive and reactive in dealing with students and repairing harm. The aim of restorative practices is to develop community and relationship and to manage conflict effectively by repairing the harm. Thank you. So 2 main bullets would be the community building, the family crew, and then restorative circles, repairing the harm. And our last is going to be community engagement. Family and community engagement is the process of working collaboratively and creating activities that form engagement with the community through open communication and collaborative decision making. So some key components would be community events, community voice, and implementing of key components of community schools. So that was a quick review. On your tables, I'll also have the blurb so you can refer to it as you're working. So this table is going to be the community engagement table, and we're going to organize by areas of interest in just a moment. This one would be the instructional model, and this table back here would be the restorative practices. So if you could gather your items at this time and decide which area or bucket you feel most comfortable working in, that would be fantastic, and you're going to move to that area now. Go. Looks like everyone is just about settled.
John Boutin.
Okay, so if you have had a chance to already look through this attachment E, the largest one is going to be the family and community engagement. It has roughly, well not roughly, 44 recommendations. So that team is going to be really, really busy. Whereas the other teams don't have as many recommendations. So I'll just try and keep a pulse on where we are, and maybe we could shift some of those recommendations from the community engagement team to some other teams if they've already finished up, to keep everyone involved and active. So again, I just want to reiterate your task. So you're going to go through, you're going to read the recommendation, and there's some categories. So the first one says the recommendations incorporated or incorporated with modifications or not incorporated into the plan. So you want to make sure you have one clean copy that you're going to submit back to me from your team. So if one person wouldn't mind being the scribe. So what you're going to do is decide if you're going to suggest that we incorporate it or incorporate it with modifications, and you can just record that right on the line. The next one says superintendent receiver rationale for decision. That's going to be your reason why you keep in mind, I am going to go back and wordsmith everything. Just give me the gist. Doesn't need to be anything profound. Just go through and get it done. And then the last thing is, where in the plan has the recommendation been incorporated? Again, that's for me. So once I get this back, I'll go through our SIG, or maybe we can look at it at our next meeting, and then I'll show you how I aligned what you suggested goes into it, into our SIG. So your main decision is deciding if it's something you think our school can benefit from, or benefit from with modifications, or not at all. Questions or concerns before you jump in? Okay, go for it. Make sure you have one clean copy for me, or one copy that's going to represent your whole group to turn in. Thank you.
I can scribe it more.
So glad I didn't even bring my pen.
I know, I was like, should I hide my pen? No, I'm kidding.
Okay, so the recommendations they have here, one of the first ones, branding and embracing our school vision and mission. Myself personally, I think that is one that we really need to make sure is incorporated into our school, and we branch it, make sure it goes also out into the community. Especially since we talked about this being a community school, we want the people in the neighborhood to also take on what that mission and that vision is. Lunsford strong, and that we will change the world. That's our last line. And I think it's important to have that and bring the community in to be a part of that and using that. So it would be good for us to have a brand. We can even do ways of possibly with T-shirts,
Okay. Culturally
soliciting,
responsive teaching and
certain literature and sharing it with the
So I'm
families.
gonna say, do we agree that we want a yes, put this one in? So
we-
let's just put a yes slide and
So-
go to the next one.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
it. That's
Okay.
it.
So- because she knows I will get to talking. There you go.
And then a yes for superintendent receiver?
Nothing needs to be done there,
Nothing,
nothing,
okay.
only that first box needs to be done.
Okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
this was just kind of some observation. I know that at the public hearing, we really only had like one parent present. And so I was kind of wondering, like, and this might be a question for Michelle, but I'm a little concerned about like how much of this didn't come from parents, and is there anything like, are there other ways to be incorporating parent voice into this process? Because I think going through with like so much, like, because this is one of our biggest areas, and knowing that like very little of it came from like parents and communities, I guess I'm just posing
One
the
thing we can do is
question.
pull Ms. Hodges over to our team, because she is a parent that
we
wasn't
do
at the
have a
meeting.
parent. Okay.
So I can ask her to join this team.
Okay. I'm just posing the question. It was just something I noticed, so I wanted to bring it up.
And the other, well, actually, we had a couple of parents at the meeting. Yes, just literally a couple.
Okay.
There's another gentleman, yes.
Oh, okay.
But also, so the website has been up and it's on the website, but I haven't gotten any feedback via email either through that special email account. But I'm going to speak for Alicia. I know that she talks with all of the families at all of our family events, so she has a very good pulse on what families want.
I figured.
Yeah. And she's at the door every morning. I'm going to ask
just repeat what I think I heard you said. That
Okay, so common language used for restorative practices with all staff. I'd say yes, because that keeps us all on the same. Yeah, that's yes. Create strengths for success support group for moms and families. We actually have one of the I think our band leader. He's actually trying to incorporate that down. I spoke with him this afternoon. Having a support group, with the moms and families would be good as well, because that would probably help to bring in even more parents. So it's like you have these subcommittees within the building. So I'd say yes for that as well. Community circles and
So
classrooms.
can we do it with a modification and saying that would be an aspect of the PTO? So that would be embedded into our PTO instead of it
So
being
it's one unit.
instead of it being something brand new. Because I get overwhelmed personally when we're having this committee, and it involves moms that are in multiple things. If we could just sort of
Bring it
maybe
together.
call it all PTO, but this is the strings group of the moms on PTO. This is the instructional group of the PTO. So maybe under the umbrella of PTO.
And I think just
I
looking forward
agree.
that makes sense, because there's a parent crew, a family crew, if that could all kind of go underneath that.
And that's what we can do too. So, Connor, if you can like group certain things that should go together, because we can say these parent committees or groups and then list them under. So we can say the strings group for mom,
How is the PTO here? You got a pretty vibrant one, or?
no.
Well, this is a good way of getting involved, because people always like to come out for programs. So this would really work out well for growing the PTO as well as giving it a home.
So I guess I have to put some
We're still on strings.
They're actually right here.
Strings for success, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought you were
and tutor younger students.
So the first thing you said yes is.
So we're on the community circles and classrooms to address behavior concerns.
The community circles.
Although I think
Now, I don't know what's meant by that. How are you guys reading into that one?
I'm sorry, which one is this?
That's why I didn't number them. Sorry, that
Community
one down.
circles in classrooms.
To address behavior
Is that per
concerns.
class? I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, and I think that's going to be a little bit of our struggle, is that we took the
Okay.
information straight from the board, so we don't always have context.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know how you want to lead into that one.
Is it like a restorative practice circle? Is kind of like what it sounds
That's what I'm
like?
thinking.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. Right. But I don't know if that's already being.
But does that go under family and community engagement, though?
I would put it under restorative practices, I think.
So
I
maybe for
think
that
the only
one.
thing that would include a family is if the family was part of it.
That might be beneficial.
So maybe we
And I
could
think
put that
that's-
one in restorative practice, yeah, and see if they want to incorporate it.
If we're not doing some
So you can
of
just
it.
write
And restore their practice.
Yeah, so move to restorative practices.
The way I see it is we just started our module with kids.
The next one I think is PTO as well.
Create parent group.
You join the PTO group.
Relationship building and supporting each other.
So yeah, so I mean, I'm
That-
thinking,
Authentic
I
audience.
with Jamie, the guy who go right under there,
Yeah,
the PTO, so
Yeah.
I would just put, yes, with PTO, and then when I know when I go back, I'll group those together.
Every Monday at this time
Yeah.
that just makes me nervous.
So I
more
think we
positive
should
outreach
use
to
like.
parents
Moniek
in
said,
person and on the
Yes,
phone.
Yeah, I think,
And then it needs to be
Exactly what are they saying there? I mean, we have,
yeah, just because that's.
I think, okay, so what I hear is parents are not happy with, you're only calling me because my child is naughty. So I think it refers to coming up with positive incentives to call.
yeah.
It's moved to restorative justice.
Or positive reasons to call.
Do you want me to read this to you? You probably can.
So that one is a yes.
Why did they offer to be better?
We need, I hear a lot of parents saying that.
But how does that look? So when we put that in the SIG, that's the law. Like, I'm not disagreeing that we need to do that. But how does that look? What would be the expectation for the adult?
Teaching includes both
This is the more positive outreach for parents. Okay.
That's, we used to have those forms that used to go home as far as the child's behavior, and it was like some positive things that was going out. Instead of saying it was a -2, it was a +4. Or, in that sense, that every time something went home, it was always on a positive note. Not looking at the negative, but looking at the positive, and having some kind of communication throughout the day. We used to have the resource books, the journals the kids used to take home, and they had something like that similar in the back of the books. That's more of a positive outreach opposed to these phone calls that you're getting. And every time we're collecting data, that data is collected on making this phone call, and you see it in power schools and it behind behavior or some other issue, as you were saying, negative.
Well, they need to see themselves in the curriculum.
So maybe we can,
Like if there were a girl.
the class dojo, the teachers use those. We can use them in a positive way.
So I would say maybe we're going to do this with a modification and say that maybe we'll come up with a school-wide system, like class dojo, like every classroom would use class dojo. But I think if we don't modify it, it's going to fall between the cracks.
Yeah.
And the class dojo is what?
Just a communication link,
It
right?
is a
communication
It's
link.
It's not my favorite thing. That's its purpose, because what it really is like a behavior management system. So the idea is you give them points when they're behaving, you take points away when they're not. So that part I'm not a fan of, but I really do like how parents can give the teachers their phone number and the teachers can text back and forth instant in real time. So it does offer that part of it that I really do like.
Okay, and this one is yes with the caveat.
Is that a yes?
So we would do that one
No,
with
is
the
that
modification.
a yes
I
with the
think more the
modification?
modification.
With the
I think just figuring out
modification.
I
how.
want to say, but it would be thoughtfully implemented with both the.
I think the more
needs
positive
of
feedback anyone
both
can get, the
older
more invested they are, therefore coming to groups and, things like
should.
Now, we somewhat do the one with parenting classes. Well, no. Well, we get information on surveys. So the parents are really telling us some of the things that they want to see incorporated, or what they agree with or don't agree with the surveys that we normally do. Is there a way that we can incorporate that also with the classes of interest? I've done that with the All Pro Dads, and we did things with dads raising daughters in today's world, social media, and connecting with your family. Would that fall up on the yes? Okay.
I'm like, I don't want to overload that group, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking that clumps together.
And the second one looks the
I
same.
think Margaret and I
Falling
were
up
talking
under
about this a little bit
PTO.
ago also, and I think this maybe came up the other
Having
day, too,
events
though. Like, in
early in the
addition to that, so
morning
that's like,
or late at night.
she was talking
Not
about,
late
you know,
at
stress
night,
and
but early evening.
this extended day. That's
Does that mean, see, I read that as
get done with the day, like the day is there.
a working parent have support before
Yeah,
school and after
then-
school
and
for
then
them.
we're basically
Maybe I'm reading into it too much.
The last one having
Yeah.
events early.
get some little
Oh,
things
events, I
done.
totally skipped over that word.
During the week, they may not be in.
You know, and we
Yeah,
kind of
I'm
do
sure
that
it's
now with the
PTO.
coffee hour. We have our PTO and our parents during the day with the coffee hour. We did a lot that. You've come to that in the morning.
I missed the chili, but
Yeah, you miss. Yeah, and then we have events in the evening as well.
I'd say the events I've gone to have been.
but the question is how late, because a lot of people, they get off between 4:30 and 5:30.
In the day.
When do they get a chance to get here? And I understand that the staff is still, you know, they've been here all day long, I understand, but how do you, you know,
Even just our work group.
how do you work with that? How do you navigate that so that the parents can still have an opportunity and the staff is not completely burnt out? I don't know how you would do it.
Well, we do fall within a time frame that we're in the building and we have to be out of the building.
Oh, really?
Because you have to give if whatever we're doing in here, and we have a cleanup time, but the custodians still have to do that final cleaning, and I think they leave like at 9 o'clock. So we have a certain time frame that we can't even go past.
Oh, understood.
So
with
that
the
would be
district.
something that we
So
would put
still
into
gonna
PTO?
fall. That's
And
still a
when they
PTO
do
thing.
events,
Exactly.
they schedule them on various times where families can come.
Yes.
Or maybe we stagger. I mean, because I'm gonna be honest, right now we just do evening events. So maybe we do, I don't know, an 8:30 to 9 o'clock event in the morning, and see how that goes. And you know, bring your family, bring your child. Maybe we can do like a pancake breakfast in the morning, and then you just bring your child in earlier.
That would be on,
Yeah.
what, a weekend or weekday? Or
I was thinking on a weekday morning because the way I read this is that parents want events, some to be offered before school, some to be offered after school to assist with schedules. So I don't know. I mean, maybe some parents would like to have breakfast with their child and, you know, maybe do a breakfast story, something or another. You know, something similar to what we would do in the evening, but just a condensed time frame. And then at 8:30, most teachers are here too, so teachers would hopefully come down and support.
now classes start at what time?
9.
9.
Like right now.
So this is a yes.
That's a
This is
yes.
something that we're already doing up under
Yes, with
PTO.
staggering events.
So that would be something modified.
Say it again, please.
I said I would say yes with staggering events of morning and evening.
Yeah.
Now the parenting classes, what did we say on that?
So we said add that with PTO.
PTO is going to be very busy.
Teaching teachers how to engage with families, parents, and former professional learning.
When we looked at the time that we needed to be extended day, it was really 45 minutes. And I actually think an hour would be good because I feel like that was always.
That's something that would go up under,
Lecture a day to me is like what we need in order to fix, right? So social
Would that be
studies and
instructional line?
justice. And
It can be.
You know, they do that on superintendent's day, half days.
So that's something we value, something we think needs to go into the plan.
Like, isn't there, I mean, we have to figure through, I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that, you know, looking at it from the community, that I've been very involved with 16 reopening over on Post Avenue.
3 committees, you have your community boards,
Restorative practices.
restorative practices.
But I think the goal is next year that everybody would be
Special
I mean, I would say yes, maybe involve it in something else that we do. I mean, I think someone has already mentioned, like, if a teacher has or if there's a half day in service kind of thing that you already do, incorporate like a little module in that.
Superintendent's day when we have,
So it's okay to say not incorporated, or we're not gonna, it's okay, everything doesn't have to be incorporated.
I thought this was something that would have went over in this group over here.
So we can put that, we can put, gonna incorporate with modifications, it should be revisited or be included with the instructional.
Yeah, because they were talking about connecting with children. How can they connect with the children? And here we're trying to connect with the parents and the teachers.
Perfect. We'll put it, that it should go over there.
Okay, and what's this group over here? The modification?
This is the second.
Well, that's how
This is
it's
basically yes or no.
then we're gonna keep the recommendation, but with the modification, that it'll go under another.
Okay.
Or academic circles.
Taking good notes for me right now.
That would be lovely.
Yes.
Okay. I have to go back and do all this later.
Communicate with parents, families about topics
So
for peace
instead of doing
circles.
like a restorative thing, it would be like,
I think that goes with restorative practices and prayer.
they
Yeah.
would do like suffixes or something, and everyone would get, they would go around and they would help. Yeah. Takes a really, yeah.
So is that how that one would be modified or not modified? Revisited upon the restorative practices?
Even if we split them, it's
Oh, me, myself, and Friday.
What is done at the school right now for getting parents aware of the peace circles and restorative justice? Is there a program already in place?
No, there isn't a program already in place, so what we've only done so far this year around it is when there is harm has been caused, we call the parents and let them know that their student was engaged in a circle, and we always invite parents to come in and be a part of that as well. However, it's a little tricky when only one family is willing to be a part of it, because I just won't let one adult sit with another child without that child being represented. But parents are becoming familiar with the language. When I call a parent on the phone and say we're going to do a circle, they're like, "Oh, okay, I know what that is." So they're becoming familiar with it. But I do think we need to do more education around it. So I was looking at the next one and thinking if that could be one of the parent topics for a PTO meeting. So maybe even if we do a morning breakfast, maybe we can call it breakfast in peace or breakfast circles, and then that's when we can explain what peace circles are to parents. So just incorporating an educational piece for parents.
So that's kind of what will fall up on the PTO when we're doing one of the things in the morning.
To provide info, work with Bear on the forum to provide info on classroom.
My only problem is.
Morning breakfast.
Yep, we can do morning breakfast.
So the recess coaches, I would imagine, being the ones creating this. They would do their own thing, and we like share.
Self-love events for families and staff, such as
She gets to do it all.
Well, she doesn't do it, he does. Okay.
Would she help people, like, so say you're doing a science unit on something and you had some concrete information?
This one reminds me a little bit of what you and I have been talking about with like the wellness
help
nights that we've
Yeah.
talked about maybe doing a couple times a year. It kind of sounds similar to those.
And that's part of building a relationship with the teachers and the parents together.
I don't.
The teachers run recess, they all recess?
So that falls up under PTO.
CT, wellness at night.
Yes.
Be recommended to teachers to
Yeah, we don't need to put that in.
on a provisional basis and see.
Is
there a parent group here?
I would say no.
Yes, but it's not as large as we would like it to be. Right now, we're getting more parental support through our Strings for Success. So we're trying to utilize that connection there, that parent base there, and transition that into PTO as well.
And even ways to align.
Emphasis school-wide on being friendly and nice to families and parents.
Just ways to integrate vertical alignment.
I know. I remember us talking about that. It's the environment. The first place parents walk into is the main office.
If we're all trying to use the conversation care strategy.
There was times that it wasn't too nice.
Okay, are you ready for
Well, you're going to have a nice new entrance into the main office now, right?
Yes, sir. Excited about that.
How do you get this across? I mean, this is not,
So just
this
say
is
yes.
school-wide on being friendly and nice to families and parents. So that's suggesting to me that we're talking about our teachers and I guess our staff is not just the office staff, but
enrichment activities.
And you're trying to figure out where to put this, on the agenda here.
trying to, well, do we want to include it in our SIG plan, which is our school improvement plan?
We already said yes.
And if we do, okay, so I'm going to be honest, it definitely belongs in there, but I don't know if I like the wording of this. So how can we word it in a way
Even within the grade level.
that it's
Not be so abrasive, maybe.
well? Yes, I mean I'm thinking abrasive, but I'm thinking also professional because
Culturally relevant materials.
so maybe it goes along with or it goes in hand with building relationships with families. So the way in which we build
Relationships with families.
Yeah, I think it's building relationships, and I think it's also really about like what kind of philosophy is really being. Like, I come from a really strong like customer service background, so sometimes I feel like even when you're not in like technically a customer service job, like but you are. So I guess like do you guys feel, I don't work here so I'm asking people who are in the school, do you feel like you have like a really strong central like customer service philosophy? And maybe that could be.
Well, I'm going to say no, and I'm going to just be blunt. Our office staff, they're all temps, and to be honest, it's been a revolving door. So it's really hard to get that consistency piece there. Do I discuss it with staff? Yes. Do I think they're doing a much better job? Absolutely. But it's really hard to get systems in place when you don't have the consistent staff. I also see it amongst teacher interactions too, and that's something that I'm trying to work with teachers to break down those walls because there's still a disconnect between. Okay, so in my perfect world, when a parent comes in and they're like, "Oh, I'm just going to go to my child's classroom," blah blah blah. My thing is, okay, go, fine, enjoy, but it's not received that way from staff, and I know it's because there's been a lot of experiences with parents being negative and only coming in to like let you have it. So, when you see a parent coming and it wasn't arranged and, that guard goes up and they want to be protected from that, from lack of a better. So, I mean, I'm open to suggestions on how to repair that because it is harm that has been caused that needs to be repaired on both sides. I mean, the teachers have been harmed and the families have been harmed.
I've seen a lot of that because, I mean, I've been here for a million years. And before Mrs. Lee has come here, there was a lot of tension. There was a lot that was going on. But I try to bring that positive at the door. And I've seen parents that try to go downstairs and things have changed. And it was hard in the beginning when Miss Lee came in. So, I mean, long story short, there were some things that they did not agree with and they did not like. But now they come to me and they see the difference. And they're comfortable with the difference. And they can see all the changes where there's not as much negativity as it was before. And why things were done the way they were in the beginning of the year. Where you couldn't go to the classroom. You couldn't come in and roam the building. You couldn't do what you wanted to do and just walk into the child's classroom. We want them to know that not only do we want your child to be safe, we want you to be safe. We want our teachers to be safe. We want people to be comfortable when they come in the door. Nobody should be blindsided. So we shouldn't have to have anything to say that, we be friendly and nice. We're working here because your child is going to school here. And this is what we want to do. And we want to make this a good, positive atmosphere. We want parents to feel welcome. We don't want them to feel intimidated when they come in. So yes, they are walking on eggshells from the past. But I think that part of that building relationships and all that, it's I don't know if it's so much a PTO thing, but it kind of goes with some of the other things that are written here. You know what I'm saying? In a more general form.
I think once you're doing some of these other things, that will naturally come.
Exactly.
So are we saying don't explicitly put it in?
So let's put that down. Let's say can we.
I just I kind of like touched on, you said repair harm. So it sounds to me like this is not just something like we need to be more customer service friendly or whatever you want to call it, but that there's actually like already like damage and hurt that needs to be kind of fixed a little bit. Because even if like, let's say you have a fantastic office staff and suddenly they're super friendly, that's still not going to change that kind of trust overnight. And that's not going to change that kind of like attitude and suspicion that everybody's already walking into the building with. So,
It's not just there.
right, I'm just using that as an example. Yeah. But because we're talking about how much we're using restorative practices in other areas, we're talking about sharing information on something like that with families. What if you were to do kind of like a circle with teachers and families? What if it was left, it could be on a certain topic or it could be left kind of open? What if it was something you had semi-regularly where it was like a conversation? Like once a month, parents are allowed to come in and teachers are there and it's like open for peaceful discussion, conflict resolution, like that would be, I think that something like that could do a lot to like create a different community.
Because see, that all sounds like restorative practices.
It is,
It's
right.
You know, so that actually it isn't PTO. It's actually restorative practice because we are repairing.
Yeah, I think it's very important to make sure that, especially the staff in the office, with the first contact that parents have, that it's as positive as possible, because then when they go to the classroom, they're bringing that first interaction they've had with them, and that, you know, either sours them or makes them feel hopeful when they meet the teacher. So it really is important that we make sure that temps or not, that they have the right training to interact with the people coming into the school.
I think volunteers,
If I may,
and I think we should say that.
as a parent, you know, I've come into the school.
Different than volunteers. I think we should say both.
We spent,
and
my
I
family
think
spent
that,
generations
again, I
literally
feel like there's a lot
in
of
this school.
work.
Okay, and as a parent, I've come into the school. I don't have a problem with the office staff.
And matching up the
You know what I'm
volunteer
saying?
with.
It's I've gone into my child's classroom, you know, and this guard.
I mean, like, work on it match the level of the
Immediately. There's nothing to do with me. I'm simply coming in. I know I'm a professional. I know how to approach people. You know, I'm also very serious about what's going on with my, you know, with my grandson. So, you know, it's what is projected to me, and it's not friendly. It really has not been a good feeling. You know, even now I've been in the classroom recently, and you know, I sense where, you know, they're guarded, and it's like, why? And then they'll ease up for a minute. Yeah. You know, I think they, okay, we have had a talk, and you know, but it is, it's like, you know, very touchy.
But I think that comes from just from hearing from the teachers who felt comfortable sharing. I think that comes from previous experiences, because there have been times when parents have gone down and just
went crazy about
or started okay, and then, you know, saw one thing and then that was it in front of the whole.
Just exploded. I mean, I know that happens. Okay, but you can't
live there.
expect it.
Yeah.
You can't let that affect every relationship, because we're trying to build relationships. And in the same token, we got to remember too, we're dealing with a lot of young parents inexperienced in the world, period. Let alone, you know, how they should approach their teachers, you know, in front of the students. They forget about the other children and everything. I don't want my child to see a parent, you know, flipping out on my teachers, no matter how right or wrong they are. You know, so we do also need to reach, we got to reach the parents as well. And I agree with that. And yes, that front office thing is really, it's really important that you have, you know, very warm and inviting, you know, So
They have
we'll
their own,
see.
we need you.
That for me, the emphasis on
Their own
school-wide,
branch.
on being friendly, nice to families and parents, teaching teachers how to engage with families and parents, teaching staff. All of that is together. I mean, all of them seem to just interlock with one another. So what group do we put them in?
Right, you want to make a category for that?
By one particular.
Say my kids tend to show out more when.
Do I want to make a category?
Well, us, I mean, the team.
Oh, okay.
Our team.
See, you guys have the language. I'm learning this.
Well, we don't have to have the, I mean, now we're just brainstorming through. I mean, I'll go through and I'll wordsmith it and I'll give it back to the team. So don't worry about the language, just what things you want grouped.
This is an important piece.
Yeah, this is really part of what this group is talking about.
And I
Yeah.
think that one really ties in with the first one on the top on this page.
So we're going to snatch that one back?
So if they kind
Put
of maybe
those two together?
clump those two together.
With emphasis on school-wide and being friendly and nice to families and parents.
So the first one there.
I'll take an attempt at wordsmithing that, and I'm going to send this back to all of you, so you'll see it and can give feedback.
My son went to this school many years ago, before you were born. And I went through two principals while we were here, and you could see a change in the demeanor of the school as we went from one to the other. They were both good people, but it sets a lot of the tone for the school, the tone that you bring to it.
Capacity, because we don't have, you're not
You've
going
got
to have
to
capacity.
rest all on your shoulders.
Oh, don't I know?
For funding.
Right.
All right, so we'll group those two together. So thanks for that conversation on that. That was a good conversation.
Yeah, so no, because it's the same.
So the next one is build a family parent advocacy council.
It said Liberty Partnerships Program. Sue Gunter. Is something through the district?
I don't know. I would have to do some research on that one.
Some language of the new teachers.
We obviously do not have an advocate
Our teachers?
in the schools. I mean, at this particular point in time, do we?
Well, we have a parent liaison, but not necessarily an advocate, although she is an advocate and she advocates whenever necessary, all the time.
Yeah, I thought you would be the advocate, but you've got a lot of kids.
And I try to reach out to all the parents. There's some parents that are actually really coming into the building to talk to me. I sat this morning with a parent today, bawling and crying, going through something, and we did everything that we could to help her out. Try to provide them with resources and everything. So would that be PTO? I mean, I'm the.
Well, I mean, maybe it falls under your role as a parent liaison.
Yeah, it basically falls upon there. Because I mean, and we always keep it private when something is happening with the families. It's private. That's why I have a private space.
The Literacy Partnership Program, what is that? Liberty Partnership?
I'm not sure, so I don't know who wrote that.
No
It's
capacity.
a suggestion, but I mean, I can look into it. I mean, I know what Liberty Partnerships is, and I can look into more. I can ask Ms. Holloman to help me with that.
One thing that I know over at School 17, Ralph Spezio did when he was over there was develop a relationship with the city, so that if parents, for instance, lost their apartment or whatever, and they needed to find another place, trying to keep them local. He had the city helping out, and this is something that I think, since Lovely Warren is interested in being involved, that's one thing that they might be able to do is provide some services of that type.
Do you think people are let's give it about another 10 minutes and then we'll just touch base. Is everyone still working? Do you need more topics to work on?
No, it's only, we only have one
Okay, well, you're working. That's okay.
Yeah, having the city be able to help in terms of relocating families when they have to move, because especially at that time they were trying to have all the kids walking to school at 17. This is back in the 90s. And so you don't want the child to suddenly end up on the other side of the city, and makes it difficult.
Thank you.
All right, so are we ready for the next one?
How many, like, so what's the ratio of, what is it, half hour?
Parental or familiar guidance nights for parental support of especially middle school students.
I would say.
So I'm going to say that that's PTO.
Did we skip one?
Did we? I'm sorry. Which one did we skip?
What's the
Parent
recommendation?
leadership training.
Oh, I'm sorry. Parent leadership training, so that meetings are led by parents, families, not teachers and administrators.
This really says incorporate structure, right? But
Well,
then
to me,
somebody thought.
to me that's pre-K. To me that's
What
pre-K.
meetings? I was just going to ask, what meetings do you think
Right.
they were speaking of in this section?
Those are something that's actually led by parent groups.
Are they talking about PTO or stuff like that? I know there are some cases where the PTO is the principal who comes in and talks to the few parents who show up, and often the teachers aren't there because it's held at hours that parents can come in.
Figure out their own
Certainly would be good if you've got a PTO that the
That's what I'm wondering.
PTO
Does that go
president.
with the one right above it? Is if you have created a PTO, that might be the next step in having a PTO member lead groups, or
To me, the pre-K.
I would lump those together, but.
Pre-K, that's what their whole curriculum is about, really.
I like that.
It's supposed to be learning how to talk to someone without punching them in the face. And the study has shown that the pre-K curriculum, if it's followed,
PTO as well.
followed the prison pipeline, it's really be. I mean, the study on the.
There's a lot that goes into PTO.
It has to do with parents.
Everything
It's all
has
the
to do with
problem
parents.
solving.
I think I did ask. Oh, no, I don't think I had a prison pipeline.
Ready for the next one?
Is that organized school-wide outreach to students' homes?
Back to the middle.
Have groups go out to homes for PT conferences? What is PT conferences? Versus, versus waiting for families to come to us. That's part of doing like home visits. I know that.
Isn't it the
That's
same
part
for
of.
PTO?
Yeah, but I do the home visits.
Yeah.
So wasn't there another one on here that talked about the home visit? Was that the sidebar conversation we had around?
I think that was part of our conversation.
Right.
I do think it comes up.
Yeah, but that's part of the teachers building that relationship with the parents and.
Parent liaison home visits.
Yeah, but I do home visits based on.
So
I do home
maybe
visits
what I
on a
need
lot
to do
of
is
things.
create a topic about
So I guess as far as this goes, we do agree with this. And I would
schools'
take
engagement with families, and then incorporate the power language and all that stuff. Incorporate the home visit and just put something else underneath that to sort of combine some of those.
Especially for middle school. Was that combined in that one?
I was putting that one in there too.
Yeah.
Okay, those are both in there. Okay.
Some really nice days.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Like, the whole different.
It says hire RTS buses, support, meet the transport staff on school.
Maybe on superintendent days.
Last year we all. This year.
I'm going to say that's one that we probably should not put in because that means it requires money that I don't have. And I don't have control over what happens on superintendent's conference days. So those are two district level things that I can't control here at the building. But I think we're also, we are including the part about going to students' homes. So I think that is getting at that, but trying to give a way for it to happen, if that makes any sense.
Well, I'm curious, how do teachers go to the homes?
They drive their own cars.
And they go along to the homes?
Well, sometimes they do, but they're encouraged to go with another school personnel.
Okay, so it's at least 2 adults going to the home.
And it should be prearranged unless it's a concern because we've tried to call, we've tried to email, this child hasn't come to school. So then, I mean, that's more of a Alicia Bell
themselves showing up at the door with another colleague.
Your plate is really full.
Can you just put something?
And sometimes I go alone.
And I tell them,
I don't know if this is for this, but this makes me.
and I'm like, call me on yourself.
They're
And I think
not
that's
that
where
bad.
getting other community partners involved with. I'm thinking if they're involved in a health home program or something like that, those providers are in the house, so partnering together, so it's not taking a lot of resources out of the school to do that.
And that's similar to like, tomorrow we have the Blitz. Tomorrow's the Blitz, and you have people that come into the district. There has been doctors, factory workers. Look, they come into the Blitz and volunteer their time to go do these home visits. They have everything that they need to go do the home visits. So, and that's the community coming in.
How can you use your support around that and having maybe a sidebar conversation, because I am using a lot of school resources outside of the building because there's things that need to be done for our families, and it is putting a strain on what we can deliver. So I would love to sit and share.
Absolutely.
What relationship have you had with Swan or Plex? I mean, it's technically in the Swan neighborhood, but across the street there's Plex. Neither of which has been not aware of a lot of interaction with the schools lately, but
So we need to
have you
designate areas.
connected with either of them?
I haven't connected with Swan, but yes, with Plex, and I just also is a member of the Plex.
Okay.
Dorian Hall was at the last meeting as well, so he was included on the email exchange for this.
Good.
Mrs. Hall.
Because one of the things, and this might be something that Plex could get involved with, for many years now, the 19th Ward has had what it calls candlelight dinners, where somebody will open up their home, they'll invite 2 or 3 people from the association and other members of the association to come and have dinner there. They'll provide the main meal and the other folks bring a dish to pass. And I was hoping this year that we'd extend that to try to get some of the teachers involved, because that'd be a great way to get the teachers out into the community and actually meet some real life people in the neighborhood that they're teaching in. That might be something that perhaps Plex or Swan, might be interested in doing. I don't know if we didn't get it off the ground this year in spite of trying in the 19th Ward, which has been doing it. But it's a very nice way for people, to walk into a home and see what the house is like and to get to know the neighbors that come there in terms of improving relationships. I think that would be a nice way to do it if we just didn't have any takers this year from the teaching staff at 16.
So you actually select a home out of the homes?
Yeah, usually the 19th Ward Community Association, they have something like 700 members or so they'll send out a note saying, if you're interested in hosting, put your name down, and if you're interested in going to a house, so they do the matchmaking, try to assign people so that they have hopefully a different house this year than last year or something like that. But it's been a useful thing to do. For the association. I don't know. How many members do you have in Plex right now?
You have to I'm just a soldier.
Okay.
Constantly support. This RTS one, what did she say? That one is like we're not.
Yeah,
We cannot do
that's a
that.
no.
Constantly support family community room. Have parent liaison live in this room to greet parents when they arrive. I greet parents at the door because they're not always coming by if I'm in my office. I have to be out there when they're coming in the building. I greet every single parent that walks in that door.
What already being done? What already
This
being
is
done?
already being done, but I do not live in my office for hoping that parents are going to come there. No.
They're self-seating.
Yeah, they're self-seating.
Now,
So that's not even a yes. How would
I would say.
I mean,
that
I'm
one- I would say
always
no to that one if it's already being done.
yeah, and I'm always available. I carry a radio for them to reach me.
Is that it?
You know.
Next one is the parent classes on CCT.
Okay, thank you.
More
Okay, so we're gonna have to
CTE.
make an executive decision because we're looking at 6 o'clock. So do we want to try and move through these quickly, or do we want to set up a time to maybe look at them again?
now, all of these are for this group, or they're
Only
all,
this page and the next page.
okay,
And
so
then there's a new heading that
first
says
3
collaborative
pages?
coaching, yes. And that's the new topic, John. So if you flip this one. Excuse me for reaching, Amanda, I'm sorry. So this starts
Ah,
the new.
okay.
So we have like another,
Missed that, yeah.
so we have another page to go.
Okay.
Or do we want to take some quiet time and look at them and see if we can group them? How do you want to best get through the rest of them?
How long are we here till?
6:30, but the other groups are going to be, or do you want me to chunk some of ours up and give them to the other groups? So that we can get through it all. Because ours is clearly the longest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. We're still having
Are you guys all set?
You bet.
So I'll give some to this table. I'll have them start working on the next page.
Okay.
I didn't write on mine because I know you said you didn't want. You needed one.
Mine doesn't quite look like a roadmap.
He's got our roadmap.
Okay.
He's our scribe.
Okay.
So the next one, I feel like, again, I would say yes, and I think it's already starting to happen. The
Which one are we talking about here?
Can more CTE organizations offer regular human support at school? So, and I don't know if this is what would fall in that category, but I know that.
CTE meaning community.
Community, I assume. Is that what you're referring
What's
to?
CTE stand for?
Can more CT organizations offer regular human support at school? I don't know. Community team?
Community team engagement.
I think. But it should, what I see, ET.
Yeah.
I think what kind of falls in that is like what we've been talking about, a therapist here, the gentleman from Gandhi here. There's other services
Some
in
more
the community,
on-site.
I think, that could come here, and it is a benefit to both. It's a benefit to our agency to come here. It's a benefit to the school and the students. So I think just continue doing what you're already doing.
It's already in the, so.
So I would say no, but just continue doing it.
Right, no, and it's already in the plan, so that can be
Yeah.
our excuse. We're not gonna add it because it's already in our plan.
And we should talk about that one too, about other things that the villa can do.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we are currently, we have the picnic, the student conference.
Decide on the list of traditional school family events that we will commit to annually and/or multiple times per year so that they become school tradition.
So that sounds like
That's
the
some of
agenda for
what we're
PTO
doing.
yearly.
Yeah, but those are some of the things that we're already doing. Like we have our meet and greet, we have our school picnic in the beginning of the year. We have the African American dinner we have every year.
Daddy, daughter.
We have the daddy-daughter dance every year.
So let's say no, let's not put it in there because we're already doing
We're
it.
already doing that. Okay, ongoing parent peace circles, this must be repetition. Didn't we just do something with that?
Right, but so just so you don't think I'm crazy, what I had to do, or what Margaret did for us, was she took every single comment, and every single comment has to be documented, even if it's
Okay.
a repetition. Like, we can't take it and reword it.
All right.
We have to be true to the process, so some of them may be.
Repetitive, okay. Engage parents for Ready Rosie. I did a training on that. Ready Rosie.
Presented some
Give parents guidance for supporting students academically at lower grade levels.
At school 15, and they kind of do that, and that every other day.
I don't know what Ready Rosie is.
Ready Rosie is actually a program that you would have to purchase it.
Are you sure?
That's something that is, Ready Rosie is, it's a thing that you could do with, the parents could do it on their phones. I think I have
So is
it
that
in
a
my.
yes with a modification of research what Ready Rosie is?
There you go.
Can we just
Yeah,
go
I
back
just
to
saw
the one
that
before?
this week. I can't remember
You saw
what
Ready
it was.
Rosie too?
Yeah, I saw some term about it.
Yeah, they do something on their cell phones. Correct?
Yeah,
To download the
We're gonna
app.
say no.
Could be.
We're gonna say no. Because
To
it's already-
ongoing?
Right, because it's already in there, so it's already recorded in there
Okay.
already. Or I'll combine it with another one of those.
Thank you.
And it's only Ready Rosie.
Oh,
Ready Rosie is gonna be, yes, but I'm gonna need to look into it or conditional with modifications. Would you say, Jamie, with modifications depending on, because I don't know what it is.
Just do research around it.
You know,
What is it?
and that's
Understand
something
it
like you.
first.
But it's a teaching tool. Something you're doing with your kids.
Okay, looking at the clock, we're gonna come together in about 7 minutes.
So I think this one goes with the other one that we said no about because we're already doing it. It's just expanding it. Like, the first one on this page.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, we're
Do you-
gonna say
do
no
you
because
ha-
we're already doing it.
Do you have a list of the students that live that come from this neighborhood and the families so that you can reach out to them? Because they're the most likely ones you're going to be able to get into the PTO, and it would be
Walkers and busters.
Yeah.
Walkers versus busters list. Yeah, I can pull that.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm supposed to be pulling it for John Lang for you.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be good to get because, you know, as far as building up this PTO, that's got a lot of things to do here.
Yeah.
At 17, they have 77% local student enrollment because they're providing local busing at the city's expense because of the experimental nature of the program. And they've got something like 40 people in their PTO that are in the school every day. But that's to a great extent because they've got such a high percent of local students in the school. And parents can walk over if they need to.
No, I can pull that.
Ready Rosie was a no, you said?
With modifications, we're gonna do some research.
Thank you.
Find out what it is.
So continue and possibly expand the Gandhi Health partnership.
So, Jamie, what's the language behind that? You have great language.
No, I had said no because we're already doing it, and we can just expand it because we're already doing it.
Thank you.
Multiple curriculum family nights. Like when we have the ELA night and the math night, that's something that we're already doing.
So already doing, no, we're already doing it.
Yep.
After school enrichment programs and
Already
clubs,
doing
already
that.
doing that one.
More staff allotted by district.
I'm gonna say no because I don't control that.
Yeah.
That's not something that I can control at the
Right.
building level.
Create ongoing music events at the school. That's a choice. I mean, as far as what assemblies and things of that nature.
I'm thinking we can group that with just the other events that are going on.
Making homes to build families. That one we're already doing. That's revisited. That more focus on family outreach. We're
Already doing it. It's already
Yep,
gonna be
already
in there.
documented. This one quicker turnaround
The
time.
more focus on family outreach to homes.
What did we say for the more staff members? Did we say no?
No, because I can't control that at the building level, and these are things that we can do at the building level.
Right.
More staff allotted by district.
Right, that's a no because
That's a no.
I can't control that.
Okay.
Sorry, we got talking quite fast now that we're on our deadline.
Rebecca, where are you guys now? Because we're on the same page.
We're on number, we just finished the we just did the 2.
At the bottom?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
We'll keep
you're doing
going.
both of them, just so you know, we already have it all set.
We have an idea for you.
Yeah, we have an idea.
Okay.
That more focused on family outreach. You said that's repeated. So
Yes, so it's already in there.
Yeah, quicker turnaround time for family.
Already
parent-
repeated?
Yeah, we already talked about that. That's
Okay.
Now, what did we say about the ongoing music events?
That was already in there through
Okay.
the other events.
Okay.
quicker turnaround time for family parent contact and follow up.
Can we group that one with working with teachers to be more conscientious about being kind and.
Yep.
Restorative practices.
Yeah, that's restorative practices. The one with circles. Okay, hold regular potluck dinners with family.
We do that.
They like to eat.
We do that once a month, don't we? We do, because every event we attach the dinner to it, a meal to it.
Yep, whenever we have an event, we feed them. So we're already doing that. Everybody should promote safe bike.
So one thing I'm hearing, I don't know if we can add to it, but it sounds like maybe families just don't know about the events.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
So that would be going back to that one that's talking about just communicating the things out to them.
And I'm going to be just totally transparent. Like, that is a challenge because, like, I do the robocalls, but the numbers change so frequently. We do backpack flyers, but when you go in the child's backpack the next day, it's kind of still already in there.
Event come and gone, and there's the flyer.
So what I was honestly looking into was trying to purchase a marquee because I'm thinking when parents come in and out, they'll see it. But I mean, I haven't even started the price. He's important to our school community.
Okay. No, I hadn't seen. I mean, I know Gandhi is down the street. You know, I've driven by and I've seen people in Gandhi, but I have no clue who that is. But thank you.
Yes, he's here.
All right, so we're just gonna.
No, I'm saying he's here right now.
No,
I want to be true to your time.
So we're gonna go through all this now?
No, I'm not going to save you. I'm going to spare you. All right, so how was the experience for everyone? Was it a worthwhile experience? Was it too tedious?
I was too tedious for my group grade to be in.
They know you. So hopefully it wasn't too tedious. This information or this process is really important to me because it helps me to make decisions about what we're going to add to our school improvement plan, which is huge. So instead of going through each one, because I did want to share out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the feedback from each group and then I'll send this sheet with all of the feedback so that you can review. If you want to add to it, give suggestions, just respond to everyone so everyone sees that. And then I'm going to need to come up with a final draft. So in the email, I'll just express in there if you can give me your feedback or comments within a certain time frame, and then I will include them or I'll send them out to the whole team to sort of have a conversation. If you need to email me something personal or privately, please feel free to do so. But I will submit what I'm viewing as the final copy to all of you before I submit it to the district, before it goes to the state. So I hope that you feel like your voices are being heard, because that is the intention, is for your voices to be heard. Any questions or concerns from me before we wrap up? So going forward, is meeting once a month enough for you? Do you think we need to meet more frequently?
Probably, if you're gonna really break this stuff down.
Well, talk to me a little bit more about that. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, you have all these little ideas to really be able to, I guess, kind of put everything together in a nice little package where it actually works for the students and the staff. I don't think you can do it in one meeting, because basically we just kind of, just kind of brush through it, as I can see. Maybe there's more detail for the rest of you, because most of you think, I believe, are probably teachers, administrators and so forth. But as a parent, it's still kind of a big picture. I like to see it more, rounded up and understand how's it going to help our students, how's it going to help the communication, with the parents and the teachers and staff at the front office and so forth, based upon what we looked at.
Okay.
So I'm just not sure.
So no, that's a really good feedback. So how do we feel about the next meeting being a month away? Because the only work that really needs to be done from now and next month is submitting this plan. And once it's approved, then I agree, we need to go back in and dig deep and see how is this actually going to look. So going forward after the next month, would you like to do maybe 2 a month, or meeting by individual committee, so we can break up into the different committees that we're sitting in and then do the work in our committees, and that committee can meet
or maybe we can have different rooms, like we meet on the same day, but we have different rooms where the committees meet, and then we can come back and share before we all disperse.
When's this due?
This is due on the 15th of this month.
So you're going to compile what's been done today, send it out to us,
And ask
we'll
you
get
for
it.
some feedback
Give you feedback, so you've got feedback before
before I
you
submit it to
submit
district
it.
office.
Okay.
So that's gonna be a pretty quick turnaround.
Oh, yes.
9 days.
Yes, ma'am. So you know what I'll be working on tonight. So Wednesdays, are Wednesdays okay? So can I send a meeting notice out for another Wednesday, a month out? Or we'll do the email communication before the 15th?
Fourth Wednesday is not good for me because that's the education committee meeting
Okay.
that you were at week before last, or last
Okay.
week.
So that will be a conflict for me too.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
okay.
Anything else? All right, thank you so much, really, really appreciate it. Could you please make sure I get one copy from each group so that I can pull that together? Thank you.